Hey, this is Shakira. This is the Strology. It's been a while, so apologies. I wanted to post an update. I'm in Jamaica for my best friend's bachelorette party, and she gets married in a month. This is like my last vacation of the year, I think. So I have a little time to record this video. It's been crazy times, as I'm sure most of you have been feeling. The lead up to this eclipse, this past eclipse, was insane. Papers are fine, and it's it's I haven't had the time. I moved on August 1st. Didn't know I was going to move until 2 weeks before that. Right after the Aquarius full moon eclipse. Eclipse season is always crazy. I thought I was going to somehow avoid it. My whole thing was all right, I know I'm going to be traveling. I know I'm traveling twice during this Mercury Retrograde. But at least I won't be moving, so I'll be able to manage. LOL, just kidding. I moved. I traveled. I'm traveling right now, and I'm here to serve you some input about this, what's been going on this summer, what's coming up in September. I'm gonna turn this music playing, but it's a little intense for this. Okay. So, August 21st, 2017, we had the Great American Eclipse. Big deal. Astrologers have been waiting for this, talking about this, speculating about this for a long time. I went to Oregon to witness the eclipse. I went to a festival called Oregon Eclipse 2017. It was in the middle of Oregon, literally the middle of nowhere. A week-long music, art, spirituality, transformation festival centered around this event, this 90-second event. It was incredible. The whole experience, witnessing the eclipse, was insane. I'll talk about that. But this eclipse, okay, so what are eclipses? Eclipses happen when the sun and the moon and the earth, let's say the earth's my head, all meet in alignment on the same plane. So on a full moon eclipse or lunar eclipse, the earth is in the middle, the sun is on one side, the moon's on the other side. The light from the sun casts shadow onto the moon, light from the moon's eclipsed. A solar eclipse, which what we just had, the sun and the moon, the sun is shining, the moon comes in between the sun and the earth and blocks out the light from the sun for a moment in time, and then finally moves and the sun comes back out. Here come my friends, so anyway. So this is a super dramatic event. Whenever it happens in history, things happen, big things happen. They happen every 6 months. They usually come in pairs. So we had this lunar eclipse in Aquarius, followed by the solar eclipse in Leo. So I wrote a whole post before I left about this eclipse, and I've posted it on my Slack channel for everyone at work. Totally forgot to post it on Facebook, and I'm sorry. I don't know if it's even worth it to post now. It's so late, but I basically didn't have cell phone or internet service for 9 days or something after I left, so it's too late. Hey, Kat.
How are you?
Good. I'm recording a video. So this eclipse happened, this dramatic event, and basically what it looks like is the sun, the moon, you can see it slowly drifting in front of the sun, and then it blocks out all the light from the sun, and everything goes dark. And what it looks like is a huge black hole in the sky that has shimmering, glowing light around it. It's a really beautiful thing to witness. It's really surreal. And it really does essentially, oh no, still going? Okay. The computer shut off. It really does essentially create this like void, this hole that can be filled with whatever you allow in. So you get this like huge hole in the sky, and it's created by the meeting of the sun and the moon, our two luminaries, the two biggest, brightest things in the sky from our perspective on Earth. So the sun would represent the sacred masculine, and the moon represents the sacred feminine. So you have this meeting of the sun and the moon, this masculine and feminine. Also can be looked at as like the yin and the yang, the light and the dark, the day and the night. And you have this obscuring of the masculine solar principle by the lunar feminine principle. And nighttime gets brought into the day. During eclipses, like night creatures come out, owls start hooting, crickets, fireflies. Like you get creatures of the night come out, and it's literally kind of like the spirits of the night, the spirits of the darkness come out and are revealed. And symbolically, that can mean like secrets are revealed, or just like strong emotions are brought up. And again, it's a dramatic event. Extra dramatic because this takes place in the sign of Leo, which is all about drama and spectacle and show. But really, Leo is really about, it's a fire sign, and it's about the inspiration of our natural gifts and talents and abilities. It's this energy that has to do with, it's ruled by the sun, so it has to do with our personality, how we shine, what makes us shine. Wherever Leo is in your chart is the area of life that you just shine. You're beaming. You're the sun. You're the center of the universe in this part of your life. And Leos are our personal suns. The Leos in our life are the people that we're drawn towards automatically. They're our leaders and the people that kind of have this royal glow about them, this royalty about them. They're the people that have these insane talents and gifts and abilities that just make them shine and glow. I need to do this before this computer dies. Okay, so again, we're left with this hole in the sky, and it really represents a dramatic new beginning. All new moons, when the sun and the moon meet up, represent a new beginning, that area of life where it is in your chart. But with this dramatic eclipse, it's like huge, it's big, and it's kind of like a cosmic channel change. It's like turning the station on your radio. After the moon moved out from the sun and we get light again, we're receiving a new information flow. We're receiving a new energy waves, new information for us to absorb and take in and learn from. So, what else do I have written down here? This void that was left, it's like a void in our ego and our consciousness, and it's like a huge reset button. So the time after the eclipse is very sensitive because we have this huge void open. I got really sick the day after the eclipse, and I know a lot of other people got sick because this energy is swirling around, and we're left super vulnerable. This hole, we're left super vulnerable to let anything come in. You have to be careful about what that is. But in the end, as I'm puking at my campground, I know that this is a purging of sorts, letting go of the old so that the new can come in. I feel awesome now, by the way, which usually happens after you get sick. But anyway, with this new moon, with this eclipse, a seed was planted, and the energies of the eclipse last for 6 months, so up until the next eclipse season. So hopefully then we'll see the blossoming of whatever seeds were planted during this new moon. So shortly after, like a couple hours after the eclipse, the moon left the sign of Leo, moved into Virgo, and 2 days after, the sun also moved into Virgo. So we had this like really intense shift of energy. We had this huge exclamation point of the year, the solar eclipse in Leo, at the end of the sign of Leo, that kind of like marked a big peak in the year. And all year we've been dealing with this really intense fire energy. We've had all of our Mercury retrogrades start in earth signs and end in fire signs this year. We had these eclipses in Leo. We had, Uranus is in fire sign Aries. Saturn's in fire sign Sagittarius. They're all making contacts with each other. There's just been a lot of fire energy, and that can be seen in the way everything's been moving so quickly and so fast this year. Like the headlines, it's headline after headline after headline. Everything's really quick, fast moving. That's fire energy. Not to mention angry and violent. So we had all this really big fire energy, and then the eclipse comes, boom. A couple of days later, we shift, and I think a lot of people notice this shift, and we go from Leo into Virgo. I've done a couple of videos, like at least one or two, about the shift from Leo into Virgo, or just about Virgo in general. It's a very noticeable change. It's the end of summer. We begin our transition period from summer to fall, and Virgo is the time we go back to school, or back to work after summer vacations. It's a time where we're going from fire energy. Come here. Come say hi. I'm in Jamaica right now because it's my best friend's bachelorette party, Hannah.
Hi.
Her birthday was on the eclipse, and I've been telling her for like a year this eclipse is going to be huge for you. And it was huge. She
quit my job.
She quit her job, and I'm so happy about it.
Me too. Me too.
So this is gonna die. Can you bring me?
Let's go charge this.
Really? She doesn't have chargers?
She does. Where's the outlet?
Oh shit. There's one downstairs. Oh, I don't know. Whatever. We'll figure it out. I may have to finish this video in a different area. I'll do a part 2. Part 1, I'll finish up about the eclipse. Part 2, I'll talk about Mercury retrograde. Well, I'll talk about Mercury retrograde here because it ties into the eclipse. So anyway, we go into Earth energy. We go into Virgo, and all of those dreams and everything that we've been like feeling under this fire Leo energy now can kind of be planned out, organized, looked at, just like cutting out the fat. We're in planning mode. We're in preparation mode because, again, we've had all these dreams, and we had this huge experience this summer, and now we can take that and process it. I should say that Virgo is definitely a time, this Virgo season is definitely about processing everything that's happened this summer and kind of digesting it and absorbing it and really using that and figuring out what we're going to do next. Let me see what else I wrote. It's a cooling energy. The energy definitely cooled. Again, we went from fire, hot, heat, combustion into an earth sign. We're brought back down a little bit. It's a practical earth sign that Virgo is about being of service. So we're figuring out how we can like literally use the energy, make it useful, be of service to ourselves and to the people around us. It's very practical. And I'll talk about Mercury retrograde before this computer dies. Okay, so Mercury started its retrograde, like, let's see. I totally don't remember off the top of my head. I'm so sorry. It was maybe the end of July? I don't remember. When did Mercury retrograde start? I'm blanking right now. I posted about it. I don't remember. I'm really sorry. But it ends on September 5th. And so I know that I did 2 different trips during Mercury retrograde, and it was very noticeable. I could not get away from the retrograde during traveling. But this Mercury retrograde started in Virgo, and it's going to end in Leo. And the big thing about this retrograde is that it ends on the exact same spot in the sky that the eclipse took place on. So what we can expect at the end of this Mercury retrograde is some type of revelation or news tied to whatever the story was around the eclipse. So let's think about politically, what happened around the eclipse. We had Charlottesville. We had Houston, which, by the way, major weather events tend to happen around eclipses. The fact that this eclipse went to the United States, it's not surprising that we had major events happening in relation to that. Oh my God, a huge thing about this eclipse and race relations in the United States. This eclipse touched, I think, every single town called, it went through a bunch of towns called Lincoln, through the country, and then it also ended at the birthplace of either, the Civil Rights Movement or the KKK, something. It ended in some town that was a big part of racism or civil rights. I sound really stupid right now, I'm sorry. I'm blanking on the details, which is something I tend to do. But it was tied really in relation with civil rights, and then we had Charlottesville happen, and then we had a huge major weather event, which is Houston. And eclipses in Leo have a history of bringing about huge floods and huge rainfall. And that's been patterns that's been happening for centuries. So that's a really big thing. There's been flooding. There's been major flooding in different parts of the world, not just Houston in the U.S. So here we go again. I'm really sorry. This thing keeps dying. Okay, this is about to die. So part 2 is coming. But yeah. So this Mercury retrograde, when it ends, Mercury stations direct, meaning it stops in the sky and then it turns forward motion and starts moving, in direct motion again. It'll bring about some type of news and event relating to the eclipse. It'll reactivate that energy of the eclipse, and we can look forward to that. Mercury rules communication and news, so expect some big news stories this upcoming week after Labor Day, around Labor Day. And if you're like me and you weren't born during a Mercury retrograde, these times you might be especially sensitive to the period right before the retrograde starts and right after the retrograde ends, which is called the shadow period. And a lot of people feel the effects of the retrograde most during those times, and then especially the day that it turns retrograde and the day that it stations to go direct. But like all Mercury retrogrades, it's an excellent time to catch up on things that you haven't been able to do, like me doing this video. It's an excellent time to just go back and revise projects or things, like redo, reorganize, revise, revisit, remember. Exes come back. They're the shadows of your past. Especially if, for me, Mercury rules my 7th house of relationships and partnerships. So partners are a lot tied to, Mercury represents a lot of partners in my life. Say Mercury, whatever. And I've had an ex that I haven't talked to in 3 years show up again in my life. Just hanging out with people from my past. I've seen that a lot. So Mercury retrograde ends on on the 5th or the 6th. It's early morning, one of those days. And right after that, we get a Pisces full moon. And I'm going to talk about that in part 2. So to summarize, we had this huge eclipse. It was a huge exclamation mark peak of the year, and right after that, we're shifting, and we're in this like shifting phase, and we're about to move into the second quarter of the year, which I'll touch on in part 2. But yeah, I'm happy to be back with you guys. See you in a sec. I need to charge this computer. Okay, so unfortunately this isn't really tracking that well. Turn this music down. The rain's dying down. Anyway, it started raining. So yeah, Mercury is about to stop on the eclipse degree, meaning the place in the sky, 28 degrees Leo, where the eclipse took place, and that is going to bring some sort of revelation related to the story around the eclipse. So another thing I'll just mention about eclipses is that they are tied to our destiny. It's about our destiny and the soul's evolution, the soul's growth, and they pull us towards where we need to be. So around eclipse season, we'll get these like messages from the universe, from the spirit, whatever you want to call it, that pull us towards our destiny. And we're often offered choices. We're offered opportunities, and it's your decision. It's on you to make a decision about it. We're often given, like for me, to move. This came out of nowhere. I saw a post on Facebook from a guy I used to see, his old roommate, and who I've stayed in touch with, and him and his partner were looking for a roommate. I was not planning on moving, but I did. I answered the call and I moved, and it was a great decision. Eclipses pull us towards our destiny, and it's really important to listen to Spirit, what the universe is offering you this time, because it's particularly related to your destiny, where you need to be. So Mercury's going to come, reignite that story for you, bring you some news or revelations of some sort, and possibly a decision, possibly a choice that you have to make. And then, where are we? Mercury ends its retrograde. And again, you might feel it for another week afterwards. It's still a sensitive time. The shadows are annoying times, because you still feel the retrograde. Mercury's still moving really slowly. It's still just like gaining speed, though, the couple of days after it ends retrograde. But it's going to re-enter Virgo, and that's where it's its strongest. It rules the sign of Virgo, and so it's going to be a great time for writing projects and learning, teaching, and mostly just like organizing your life, reorganizing things. It's a way better time to sign documents and contracts and stuff once Mercury moves back into Virgo. If you're publishing anything, it's a way better time to do that after the retrograde. Wait like a week or two after the retrograde. Mid-month is a lot better for that stuff like that. So the day after the retrograde, we get a full moon in Pisces. And Pisces being a water sign, the energy is very much about healing. It's about processing, especially because we're going to get that eclipse energy reignited and reactivated. So it's going to give us a time for emotional release, for spiritual release, and kind of like a spiritual emotional cleansing. I'm really sorry this is not tracking well, but I don't want to stop recording, so I apologize. It's right now we're in the build-up energy towards the full moon, so it can feel really emotional, like a build-up, a swelling of sorts. This is really bad. And then there's the release at the full moon. It's a good time to set intentions around what you want to let go of, things that you want to release, endings. It's a great time for endings. Hannah just said she quit her job, so she has 2 weeks left to like process and say her goodbyes and, release, like letting go of all that energy. Very much a spiritual and creative release. So honor yourself, honor your feelings during this time. Take the time you need. Take baths, sacred showers, go to the spa. It's a great time for like that internal self-healing, taking care of your mental, spiritual, emotional health. It's processing that eclipse energy. And then, so September is kind of weird. It's a lot of Virgo energy. It's a lot of like being practical and making practical action. God, this is like, I'm going to stop it and start it again. Give me a second. Okay. Hopefully it's not that bad. And in September, so we get these like oppositions of all of our personal planets, Mercury, Venus, and Mars, to Neptune. Mercury, Venus, and Mars are all going to move through Virgo, as well as the Sun, and the Moon's already done that. So the Sun, Mercury, Venus, Mars are all going to move through Virgo and meet in an opposition when two planets are 180 degrees from each other to the planet Neptune. And Neptune is a really weird energy. It's like a cloud. It's this like mystical, watery, foggy place where there's no concrete boundaries. Nothing's really concrete. Everything it's like the oceans and constantly in flux. We're in this like cloud of energy. There are no separations between things. It's kind of this like mystical, murky soup. And often it can be this super creative energy, and it can be it's a place to escape to. So when we have these planets moving in opposition to it, it can kind of create this blind spot with that planet's energy. And it's good to be aware of that happening, because a lot of times it can be easily deceived. In this energy, we can just not see the full picture. And a lot of times you're deceiving yourself. I would say it's not a great time to get like tattoos, especially if you're a Virgo or a Pisces, or I don't know, it's energy to watch out for. Deception, lying, things where you can't really see clearly. You have to kind of wait for the fog to separate. So that's something to look out for this month. What else do we have this month? I'm missing a bunch of things, but I want to kind of wrap it up. So the next big thing that happens is the equinox. So the sun is up in Virgo now. It's in Virgo until the 22nd or 23rd, 21st perhaps. It's probably the 21st, honestly, when the sun enters the sign. Oh, maybe it's the 23rd. I'm a terrible astrologer. I'm really sorry. I have to look at a calendar. But the sun's going to enter the sign of Libra, and when that happens, we get the autumn equinox. And it kind of marks like the beginning of the last quarter of the year. And you'll notice how much the energy shifts the last quarter of the year. Again, we had all this fire energy and then all this air that fueled all that fire, and it's just been like constant non-stop all year. Like we have not really had much of a chance to catch our breath and process. At the end of September, we kind of begin that cooling down. I'm not really saying things are totally cool down, but it's the beginning of um, that quarter where things like 2018 is going to be so different than 2017 and 2016. Um, yeah, and I'll talk about more. I'm going to try to do these monthly. I'm going to try to do an October forecast or October video because there's interesting things happening in October too. But I will say with the autumn equinox, we enter Libra season, and I like to call it cuffin season. Um, as some of you know, I've made videos about it before, and that's because Libra is ruled by by the planet Venus, and in Libra season, people tend to try to link up and partner up, which is what Libra is all about. It's about partnerships and marriage and meeting another person, meeting that mirror, socializing. Venus is a very social planet. She loves meeting people and making relationships and forming connections and unions. So that starts to happen in Libra season, and it's really fun and exciting. And it's cuffing season, so get out there, socialize. Venus is going to be in Virgo most of the month, so it will be a picky cuffing season. She's very particular in Virgo. She doesn't necessarily love being in Virgo because it's a little too like it's very practical but like anal energy, and they like things a very particular way. But people with Venus and Virgo tend to be really artistic and pay attention to detail really, really well. Their art tends to be really beautiful and intricate and all that. That's kind of all I wrote. There's a lot happening. I will gladly answer any questions. Please send them to me. Again, I'm going to try to make these more regular. I'm so sorry they haven't been. It's been like crazy times. I think everyone knows that, especially with like the move. So I moved August 1st. August 16th, I left for Oregon. I got back on the 25th, and then I left again yesterday for Jamaica. And so, yeah, it's been nuts. But I hope everyone is doing a lot better now after the eclipse. I've heard a lot of people say that, like, they noticed after the eclipse, like, all the craziness started to settle. And, you finally get to take a breath and be like, okay, what just happened? Please just try to process. Like, take time for yourself. It's so important right now. Like, you really need to take care of yourself. We're still really sensitive. The eclipse only happened, like a week or so ago. Week or two, whatever. And it was really big. It was like really intense energy. It's totally okay to feel overwhelmed, and it's totally okay to take time for yourself. Take care of yourself. If you got sick, know that your body is likely just clearing out everything it doesn't need to restart and begin anew for this new chapter. Again, a seed was planted during that eclipse, and it takes time for, seeds. I saw these astrologers, some of my idols, speak at this festival, and Rick Tardis, his daughter, I think, was talking about how, like, maybe it was Rick, I don't know. One of them were saying how things don't bloom during, I'm totally going to screw this up. Forget it. I don't want to screw it up. But yeah, it's not always comfortable. Things don't always happen under comfortable situations. You need to get uncomfortable. Building something and having something grow isn't a cakewalk, but we do our best, and when we're giving opportunities and choices, we try to make the right choices. That's all we can do. We're humans, Do our best. Anyway, okay, I'm rambling at this point, and I told myself I wouldn't do that, so I love you. Please ask me questions. I will happily explain anything I can. I didn't talk much about how much this eclipse affected Donald Trump, and it's like a huge thing for his chart. It's happened right on his ascendant, his rising sign degree, and hit his natal Mars. It was a big eclipse for Trump, and we'll see what unfolds in the next 6 months with him under this energy too, because again, it hit him directly. Therefore, to hit us as a nation, U.S., us, whatever, very directly as well. So, yeah. Sorry, this was all fuzzy. Um, I'm going to splice these together and send it out so I can go on my catamaran trip. Okay, bye.